Okay, men's rights. In my last video, I was talking about paternity tests, mandatory paternity tests. Now, to be clear, I was talking about a situation in which a woman is trying to sue for child support. If a woman wants to claim child support, there should be a paternity test. Now, maybe not necessarily mandatory. Maybe the guy can sign a waiver, but I think it should be standard. If a woman tries to get child support, there should be a paternity test. So I wasn't talking about people who just decide to have kids on their own, and there's no dispute. But anytime a woman or a guy or whatever wants to get money, there should be some type of paternity test, at least standard if it's not mandatory. So expanding upon that, men's rights, one issue that comes up a lot is child custody. And before I even get into that, the issue of the right to choose, which is really interesting. People bring that up. A woman has the right to choose whether she wants to keep the child or not, but a man really has no choice in the matter. I mean, obviously he can choose to wear a condom, condoms break, and he can choose to not have sex with her. Obviously that's a choice, but a woman has the same choice. And ultimately, if there's some type of conception, the woman can decide whether the child stays or goes, whether she carries the child to full term or not. Now, whether you agree with abortion or not, that's a right that a woman has. So the question is, why can't a man have a right to not have the responsibility for the child if he's not interested in having a child? If a woman gets to decide, if she has all the power in deciding whether the child comes into the world or not, how come she doesn't have all of the responsibility? Personally, I think both men and women should put more thought into having kids, and they both have a responsibility. But if you're going to create a scenario where one group has all of the power, then that one group also has to have all the responsibility. So if you want to have it designed so they share the power, they have to share the responsibility as well. So that's the type of system I would really prefer. But that's a question. Should men be forced to pay child support? I have serious doubts about the child support system in general, because when I was a kid, my mom, she didn't really receive child support. I think she received I got maybe 3 or 4 throughout the entire time. We didn't get any support from my father. I never met the guy. So that's my perspective. As far as child custody, you gotta understand that first, before you even get to child custody, the divorce laws in this country, family courts are very much geared against men. So when they try to when they try to get that child custody, usually they lose. Usually the children go with the mother, unless she's really, really crazy and the guy can prove it and it's really, really obvious. But usually guys lose out on that. A lot of guys end up in situations where they took care of the kids throughout the marriage. There's a divorce, but then they only get to see their kids every other weekend. And they have to pay like $1,500 a month in child support or more. So no sir. All right. So that's a situation that a lot of men find themselves into. And as far as child custody, a lot of laws are geared against child custody, against men getting child custody. So now, what can we do to make that more of a just system? For me, the big part of the problem is that a lot of these laws and the system in general starts off with an inherent bias against men. You see that with a lot of men being forced to pay alimony, but now there's some women getting hit up for alimony because they're making more than these guys. So that's an interesting little reversal. But overall, it's mostly men that get hit up with that. I think when you work with a bias that states that the woman is presumed to be in the right, and the man has to prove otherwise, you start putting the man in a position where he's guilty of innocent. I think one of the key things is to make sure that there's a level of consistency. Whatever applies to the man has to apply to the woman. So if the woman lies about the man, there should be some type of penalty in place. A lot of women have lied about men being abusive so they can get leverage in a divorce or in a child custody type of situation. And sort of expanding upon that, you have the issue of rape, which unfortunately a lot of men who rape women get away with it because a lot of women don't report it. But then you also have these women who lie. They come out and they lie against these men So how do you really deal with that? One of the ideas I had was that maybe you could set up a system so that if a woman lies about a man raping her, whatever penalty he was facing, she will face because she lied. That could be a possible response. Of course, I also thought about, if we did do that, women who do lie about rape will probably be less likely to admit they lied in the first place, because there have been situations where women had lied and men were pretty much screwed because it's his word versus her word, and that inherent bias pretty much puts them in a bad situation. So I don't want to see either men or women get abused. I definitely don't want to see a bias on one side or other, but there has to be more consistency and there has to be more fairness in the system. And I think if you have that, it'll benefit society in many ways. A lot of people are pulling away from the system set up because a lot of these guys feel like the systems are built against them. And if that continues, it's going to shape our society in a way in which there's a lot of division, too much division between men and women, and that won't be healthy for society at all. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Tell me what you think, and don't forget the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Hi, bye. It's a Sunday, so it's kind of slow.